Hey, you're now tuned in to Underdog Talk. I'm your host, Eric Jones Jr., the underdog with the heroic heart, and I have conversations with successful underdogs. And today I have Mr. Chris Fontaine. Is that how you say it?
Fontana.
Fontana. I'm sorry, I
Yeah,
messed it. I
it's
don't know.
all
I was
good.
thinking of Fontana. What's it's a show with Ricky? Oh, Ricky Fontaine. Sorry,
Yeah,
I messed.
yeah.
But he's the founder of Go Primal Lifestyle Fitness Brand. How are you doing today, sir?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Before we get into our conversation, a sponsor is brought to you by my brand, Christian Dewan. You get 15% off if you use the promo code Underdog Talk, and Underdog is on here. If you're listening, it's UNDERDAWG Talk, and you get 15% off. We got hoodies, t-shirts, sweatshirts. Definitely gonna have a Black Friday sale coming up because Black Friday is coming up. So we'll probably have that out a little early. But like I said, Christian Dewan, and Dewan is spelled Dejuan. So we have I'm gonna just say Chris. I was about to say Mr. Chris, like I'm at school.
Yes.
I'm sorry, I'm a teacher, so I'm used to calling everybody by Mr. or whatever. So we
Yeah.
got Chris, and he has a lifestyle and fitness brand. He's about mindset and mental health. Where were you? What was Chris before this happened?
Whew. Let's see. I mean, before I didn't really start my brand until COVID hit. Um, so I would say that was when COVID hit is when I finally kind of came out of everything. Um, so going back before that, I mean, I'm 43 now, so I would say at 30 years old, I was at my complete worst. I was having severe panic attacks on a daily basis, which, if anyone's had a panic attack, feels like you're dying. So pretty much I went through about 10 plus years of that. Because for a long time, I didn't know what it was. I had no idea it was anxiety. I figured I was going to die young. Something was wrong with me. My father passed away at an early age, so I figured, all right, so am I. And I kind of just settled for it. Just was at my complete worst as far as physical health. I was 300 pounds, just depressed, hated myself, and, was an alcoholic. And, finally, I had my breaking point when, they say you get sick and tired of being sick and tired. And, I just couldn't live with that anxiety every day, the panic attacks, feeling like I was dying. The mental warfare that went inside my head every day on a daily basis was, I don't wish upon my worst enemy. Um, I always say those are the darkest days of my life, but I look back now and those were the absolutely best days of my life because they made me so mentally strong to overcome that. It was just, like I said, man, I look back and never want to feel like that again, but I'm glad I did, and, I would say that was the hardest thing for me to ever get over. And I always am careful when I say that because I know how hard addiction is for a lot of people. Um, but getting over the anxiety and the mental warfare inside my head and the depression and the self-loathing, um, was definitely harder for me to get sober, which came kind of later on in life. So maybe it was just the way that it happened. That was just I was able to overcome that first. So maybe that the training of the mind, it made beating addiction a little bit easier. Um, but to get over the anxiety, it was, finally had to show vulnerability and get help because I couldn't do it on my own. And, I had no confidence at all. I had, no one had any idea what I was going through. I was trying to be this big, tough guy on the outside, but inside I was screaming for help every day. And it was just one of the hardest things I ever had to go through. And finally, once I realized, I went through doctors and heart specialists, and when they kind of said there's really nothing wrong with you other than high blood pressure, I think it's anxiety. And I was like, anxiety? How does anxiety actually cause physical problem? I mean, I was having physical symptoms of people who have heart attacks. My arm would go numb. My heart would be almost beating out of my chest sometimes. Sometimes it'd be so slow where I couldn't even feel it. I thought it stopped. I would have these horrible palpitations where it would like wake me up out of a sleep where I'm like, oh, this is it. I'm dying. I'm dying. That's it. Um, So I went through years of that. And finally, when the doctor said anxiety and I started to go to a therapist, um, slowly it started to get better. And like I said, 300 pounds at my absolute worst. And I was an athlete growing up and everything. So this was hard to be 300 pounds. And, I remember days looking inside the mirror and just saying like, man, I hate you. I hate you. And really, like, the weirdest feeling was like I was outside of my body, actually looking at myself as someone else and having hatred for that person that I'm looking at, man. And that was probably the most powerful why, like, to be like, all right, I need to get going, man. I can't hate myself anymore. And I was listening to your podcast. I believe it was the first one with your ex-wife, and she was talking about how she overcame her, her weight loss, and I don't know if she was uh addicted to alcohol or anything, but she did say she stopped it. And when she was talking about how it was mindset, nutrition, and then fitness. And I was like, man, that is exactly how I do my mindset coaching. And I tell my clients, man, I focus on mindset and then the nutrition, and then, fitness is number 3. So yeah, that kind of, like, when I listened to your podcast, it really brought me back to, like, when I call it the primal mindset started. And I didn't even know it started. This was back when I was 30 years old. And I just I had one severe attack at the gym because, at this point, I'm like, I got to get back to the gym. I got to get back in shape. I got to start loving myself again. And I had this severe panic attack. I was like 5 minutes on the treadmill. I literally thought I was going to die. I hit the button, quit, walked out of the gym, was crying the whole way home, driving, got home. I'm like, I don't know how I'm going to do this, man. I don't know how I'm going to get better. I don't know how I'm going to beat this. I don't know how I'm going to get out of this. And I was like, you know what? I don't know. Something in my mind just kind of clicked. And I said, I ran 5 minutes today, dude. I'm running 6 minutes tomorrow. And that was just my mentality from that day forward. And I call it that primal mindset. Man, there was nothing that was going to stop me. I was just going to keep going no matter what. I developed a short memory. So whatever happened the day before, it didn't matter to me, whether it was good or bad. I woke up and I have this mantra that I still to this day use. And I started saying it to myself every day, where I said, I wake up today, I go today. And that's it. And to this day, I still use it. It's all about today. And, slowly I started to get a little bit better, a little bit stronger, a little bit, slimmer, and was able to run a little bit more. And, that's when actually a trainer introduced this nutrition program to me. And that was when I first realized how much nutrition has to play into it. And I followed it to a T. And I mean, within 2 months, I shed like 60 pounds. It just melted off. It was incredible. I definitely don't recommend that to anyone, but, it was just something, my why was just so powerful at that time that it got me out of bed every day, because motivation is really, it's not going to be there all the time, but you can stay consistent. That you can do. That's in your hands. And like I said, my why was so powerful where I just didn't want to hate myself anymore. That was getting me up out of bed every day. And I'm like, man, I wake up today, I go today. And I just kept going. And then I kind of learned how to trust my instincts. And there's a reason why it's my main tagline. As you can see, is because we are born with that instinct to keep going, to persevere, to adapt. Quitting is something that's learned. We don't learn, we don't learn to keep going. No, we learn to quit. So when you trust your instincts, man, you just got to know, man, I just got to keep going. I will persevere. I will get better. I will get stronger. I will get faster. And that was just my mentality. And I just kept going. And, unfortunately, I wasn't able to get sober until, about 8 years later when I was 38. And that's when everything kind of came together. That's when I shed like the last 20 to 30 pounds, whatever it was. And, overall, like down 100 pounds since at my worst. And at 43 now, I'm able to keep it off. And, that was when that confidence, which I got a little bit of it when I was able to overcome the anxiety and the depression and the weight loss. And, I got a lot of confidence off that. But it was very inconsistent because of the alcohol. The alcohol was keeping me down, and when I say, drinking, man, I would black out every time. I mean, that's a whole another podcast to go into
Yeah,
into that. Um,
definitely. Yeah.
but I was able to get sober at 38. Um, it wasn't a coincidence that about 6 months later or so, I found out my wife was pregnant with our first child.
Mm.
Now he's about to turn 4. I have another one that turned 1. So it's amazing to me how everything kind of came together, and COVID hit. And that's when I was like, man, I need to do something with all this that I came over, all this mindset, that confidence I gained. Like, I don't know what to do with it. I don't know how to even begin. I'm not a social media, or I wasn't a social media guy. I didn't really like talking. I don't like attention on me, whether it's good or bad. And, COVID hit. I was home, and my first son was just turned 1. And, I was working a lot. So I didn't even, I mean, I would go 2-3 days sometimes without seeing him, just because the way the scheduling was, man. So I was home, and man, it was a blessing to me because I got to hang out with him every day. I would go for walks with him, and we really, like, that's when he really became attached to me, in a good way at that time. And, I was like, you know what, I'm just going to put my story out there on social media. And I did. And like, people who I've known for years were like, man, I can't believe you were going through all that, man. That's crazy. And other people I didn't even know started reaching out and be like, how'd you do it? How'd you stop this? How'd you overcome that? How'd that happen? And I was like, man, I got to help people, man. I got to get more of my story out there. And someone, a marketing guy, saw me on LinkedIn, saw my story, and to this day, he's my marketing manager, and he kind of reached out to me. He's like, man, you got a great story. What are you, where are you going from here? What are you doing with this? And I'm like, man, I have no idea. Like, I'm not a marketing guy. I have no clue what to do with it. And he kind of gave me this whole questionnaire about, filling out everything, and kind of how, according to like my personality and what I came over and all this, because he's like, there's a science to it, which I have no idea. Like, I'm like, all right, man, whatever. And we kind of came up with the name Go Primal. We came up with the logo, and I was like, yeah, I like it, man. Let's go with it. And it really started out as apparel, because that's what I thought it was going to be. And like, I have the hoodie on now, I have t-shirts, and I'm thinking, oh man, this is going to be great. It's going to fly off the shelf. People are going to love it. I'm going to make, man, it doesn't work that way. No one, no one has any idea what Go Primal is, what it stands for, So I kind of, after a little while and talking to some other people, they're like, man, Go Primal is you're the brand, dude. It's your lifestyle, man. Put your story out there more, reach out to people, build a community. And that's what I started doing. And I kind of was thinking, like, what's a good way to do that? And I started a podcast, I call it the Primal Mindset. And I had other, people still reaching out to me saying, like, how do you still stay so consistent? How do you do this? And I kind of made another pivot into, the mindset coaching, which I called the Primal Mindset, the partnership, because I'm there with you, man. I'm going to be working with you. It's an 8-week program, but I'm there with you, side by side, because I've been through this, and like I said, we focus on mindset, nutrition, fitness. Let's go. Be the best for the people that need you most. And, that's kind of where I'm at now with my brand, the 3 aspects: the apparel, the podcast, and the mindset coaching.
I love it, man. I love your story. I resonated to a lot of different things that you said. I've had a panic attack, anxiety that came out of nowhere, like maybe like 5 or 6 years ago. And I'm like, what the heck is this? What is going on? Like, and when I went to counseling, and that's how I realized what was going on. But to one of the things you said earlier, you were like, your dad died at a certain age, and my dad died when I was like when he was 27, I was three or 4.
Yeah.
And so when I got to close to that age, I'm like, oh, I was scared. I didn't
Yeah.
tell him, like, I don't really want to hit this age because Pops didn't make it, so it might be the same. And that's when I had my son, is when I turned that age. So it was like, okay, so I got the same feeling that you had with your son. Like, when my son was born, like, he was attached to me because I was a stay-at-home dad at first. So I was with him all the time during the day. And then, like, even now, like, anything I want to do, he wants to do. Like, so it's a dope relationship because I didn't have that. But I love what you said, mindset. Everything you said, like through your story, through your struggle, it was a mindset thing. You had to overcome that mindset. And a lot of us, we go through those moments and it's a mindset thing. But we don't realize, like you said, when you overcome something like early in life, you can overcome anything.
Mm-hmm.
Just like with me, I overcame my disability as a kid. So now, like, nothing's really hard. Like, when
Yeah.
I really look at it, nothing's harder than the surgeries, all the stuff that I had to deal with as a kid. And like you said, those were the most beautiful moments. Because if I didn't go play basketball, if I didn't stand up to the bullies, I wouldn't have a story. I wouldn't be able to share. I wouldn't be the person I am. So it's like some of those moments were ugly as a kid or ugly, back in the day. But now it's like, those moments are why I'm here, why I'm able to share with people. And that's what I want the listeners to understand. Like, what you think is ugly is really beautiful because it's going to turn you into a better person. It's going to help your character. It's going to help your mindset because we all go through stuff. Like you said, you're 43, I'm 36. We were going through stuff when we were in our 30s, when we were in our 20s. We're still going to go through stuff when we get to our 50s, but it's about the mindset. It's just
Yep.
like you can hang out with certain people, your friends. Like you probably had people you drunk with or whatever, or you hang out or you go party. Then it comes to a point in life, you're like, I don't really want to do that. That really doesn't help me do what I want to do. And then you kind of get away from those people because your mindset different. Or it could be where your friends go out, oh, they got robbed or got shot because they wanted to go party and that's what's been going on. You're like, no, I don't want to do that. And you hear about it. It's like, I'm glad I didn't go because, your mindset's different. And when your mindset different, you hang out with different people. I'm sure you have different friends from when you were in your 30s, when you were drinking, when you were overweight than you do
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
Because when your mindset change, you get around those people that think like you. When you want to be a winner, even though you might not have won anything necessarily, but you want to be a winner, you're going to get around winners.
Yeah.
You're just going to keep staying around the people that, oh, okay, we just made the playoffs. No, I want to win the championship. Fuck the playoff. I want to
Yeah.
win the championship. That's like KD. Like people
Yeah.
be like, oh, what this and that. It's so funny hearing people talk about people in sports. But when you do that in real life, if you're at a job and the only thing you could be is a manager at this job, but you go over to this other job and it's similar to the job you got, but you can end up being the CEO, what job you gonna go to?
Yeah. That's where you're going. It's
And that's
simple.
just like him. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm in the Thunder. Okay, we're making the playoffs. We're right there. But the Warriors, they win it. Let me go over here. It's simple. Like you want to win in life, no matter who you are, where you're at. You don't want to be losing, and it all comes to mindset. And I love that you realize, oh, the brand is me. It's not the name. You represent the name, just like underdog talk. I've been the underdog and saying that for years, and then I realized, let me do the underdog talk podcast. Now I'm the underdog. When you look up underdog, you're gonna see me because that's who I am. That's the brand that I am.
Right.
I want to help people that have underdog mindset be successful underdogs. And that's the same thing with what you're doing. And I love how it took a stranger off of LinkedIn to help you. It didn't
Yeah.
take a homie. It didn't take, somebody you work with or whatever. It took a stranger. And people don't realize strangers help you better than your friends and family.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's same thing with, when you go talk to a therapist, you
Right?
talk to someone, you have no idea who it is. And you're able to be vulnerable and be like, man, this is how it is. And they have a different insight. They don't have that attachment to you where they're going to tell you how it is or be like, listen, you need to do this or what you're doing is not working. I don't care what it is. It's, you got to change it up. And, it's funny you say that because another, person on LinkedIn saw my story and he started this men's network NGBN and I'm a part of it now and it's exactly what you were talking about, how you want to surround yourself with that, people who are like you or that you want to be like. And another stranger, he saw me on LinkedIn, said, hey, I'm starting this men's network, and let's get your podcast on there. It's all about men's mental health and, men in their midlife in the 40s, 50s, and 60s, because and I was unaware of this until he told me that has like the highest suicide rate is men in that age group. So right now he's in trying to become the oldest man to play NCAA Division I football, and he's 57 and he's going in as a long snapper, and he's doing it, to raise all this awareness for men's mental health. Like I said, we are a part of this men's network, and it's starting from the ground up. And we're going to have our first men's virtual conference coming up in January, where people can kind of come on and see the NGBN, the content creators, and we're going to have, talk about, various issues, with men, like confidence or, fitness or, whatever it is, because there's just so many problems that men have that they don't think they can talk about. And especially in that age group, some of them are divorced, so they got to, see what the dating game is like. They have no idea what the dating game is like nowadays. And they get depressed, they get lonely, they fall into addiction. They, whatever it is, they get overweight. They think they can't lose weight. They can't, everything's going downhill now. And they just, that depression hits them. And, they either, there's really not too many outcomes that are going to be good. It's either, they're going to unfortunately take their own lives, or, like we're kind of seeing in the news, man, you see all these bad things happening where, people just do these horrible things. And, it starts with, loving yourself and being able to kind of talk and show vulnerability. And that's what we kind of, at the NGBN, we want to show that camaraderie and show people, hey, you're not alone, man. Look, we have plenty of people that went through it. And, we all have our little brands within the NGBN, but, it's all the same thing. We're trying to bring awareness to people and show them that, it's mindset. You can be confident. You can, you can be confident and you can show weakness at the same time. Like it's not like you got to be tough all the time. And, it took me a while to kind of figure that out.
Yeah.
And, it's just crazy how, not a lot of men think that they can talk, and it's good to have, shows like yours, like the Underdog Talk, because, man, let's be honest, there's probably a lot of people that feel like they're underdogs, like they they can't win, or they don't have the opportunity to win, and it just puts them in a downward spiral. And I'm glad that people like me and you and the NGBN, that community can help people.
Yeah. So that's kind of how I started, like online community. And then I got in this group. It was a men's group. It's called G-Men.
Okay.
And it's men all over. And we would have those talks. You learn how to be a man, not, oh, I go to work, I pay the bills, like, to be vulnerable, transparent. Like, you got real life problems or real life addictions that you might not tell somebody. Like, it's like barbershop talk, but at the barbershop, you're not going to tell all your business. Here, you can tell your business because it's another dude exactly like you dealing with it. So now you're able to work together. And like you said, it's about understanding that it's okay to talk. It's okay to cry. Mm-hmm. Like, I didn't realize, like, I was always, oh, I was tough. And then I became a dad and I cry. Like, not like, woo, but it's like, I see my son doing something and I'm there. And I'm like, I didn't have nobody in the crowd for me. So I get emotional, or he does something. I'm like, man, I'm proud of him because I remember when he couldn't do that or whatever. And it's like, I'm cool with that. Like, I don't care how you feel. That's my son. Like, that's like if somebody was, oh, you soft. Oh, okay, that's cool.
Yeah, fuck it. I don't care. I'm soft then. I'm the same way, man. I cry. My kid, he's 3. He had T-ball, man. I was tearing up every time. And like you just said, man, I remember the days when, my dad would watch me playing Little League, and I was 13 when he passed away. So, I was a little bit older than you, but I still feel like I missed out on a lot of shit growing up with him. God willing, I'll get to do that with my kids, and, like you said, like when he first took a piss in the toilet, man, I was crying like, I'm like, oh, he did it.
It's like my son's in 3rd grade. Now he's in the girls. And it's like, hold on, wait a minute, dude. What's going on here? Like, he has he has a girlfriend.
Yeah.
But he has his group chat where he's on with this girlfriend and a bunch of girls. And I'm like, hold on, man, you in 3rd grade, man. What's going on? Like, let me check this phone. Like, let me see what's going on. Like, they're just having, it ain't nothing major, but it's just like you still have to check. And it's like, man, it's too early. But I remember, like, I was kind of liking girls in 4th, 5th grade, but it's and when you look back, it's like now I can prepare him better than what I was prepared, because I didn't have that, what you do with girls, how to put on cologne and all that cool stuff. Like, I had a dad around, but he was always at work. So he didn't teach me. And now it's like, as I got older, I understand the little stuff that you have to teach your child, like not just going to work, but hey, come talk to me. Like, how you
Mm-hmm.
doing today? Are you really okay? Like, why did you do that? Or whatever the case may be, rather than giving him a whooping. I don't whoop my son too often. I talk to him. What's going on, man? Because
Yeah.
kids have bad days. Just like we have bad days, they do. Or maybe, they just have one of them days. I don't feel like doing nothing. Hey, I feel you, because there's some days I'm like, fuck it. I'm not doing nothing today. I'm just chilling, because you have to take mental breaks. And we
Yeah.
don't realize that as adults, that kids need that just as well as we do. So being a teacher, I understand that now. But everything, like you said, is about mindset, but it's about the social and emotional learning. Like, you got to be able to get it off your chest, and not in a physical way.
Right.
Like, get it off your chest before you go and want to fight somebody, or if you want to go cheat or whatever. Like, go talk to somebody, because I cheated. I didn't go talk to anybody before I did. Like, I should have went and talked to, like, hey man, this is really how I'm feeling. And when you're a man, sometimes you don't open up. You ain't like, hey, this is how I'm feeling right now. You like, yeah, man, I cheated. You'll talk afterwards. But maybe if you had a conversation with somebody before and you were vulnerable and you're transparent, hey, man, sit down. Don't go do that. And
Right.
that's what community is. That's what's getting around the right men is about. Because in life, like you said, it's like, oh, when you get in your 30s, oh, I'm old. Oh, my knees. No, you're not. It's just because you're out of shape. It's just because you
Yeah.
don't
Yeah.
realize
Yeah.
when you were in your 20s, you're supposed to work for your 30s. When you're in your 30s, going for the 40s. And you don't realize that. And I did. I'm like, okay, I see some 45-year-old dudes out here running. Like, my dad's in his 60s and he can run a marathon, like a
Yeah.
marathon. And I'm like, okay, I'm 30 and I can't run a mile. I'm 36 and can't run a mile.
Yeah.
Something is wrong. So
Yeah.
yeah, I need to get it together. And I love that you have a community, like you said, it's different people that do all kind of stuff. Everybody do something different, but we all go through the same stuff.
Yeah.
It don't matter how much money you got. It don't matter where you live. It don't matter whatever. Everybody go through problems. And when you get around people that want to help you with those problems, that's when you become a better person. It's
Right.
not when you go sit around and talk to your friend. Oh yeah, I agree. No, sometimes you need somebody to say, sit your stupid stuff
Yeah.
down and get your shit together, rather than, oh yeah, I agree with you. That's right. No, it's not about that. It's like you said, our conversation. We met through LinkedIn. We having a conversation like I would with one of the bros, or maybe at the barbershop, or somebody I run into, because we both have the same mindset. We want to win, and you have to get around all different kinds of people to win. You can't get around people that think like you or people that look like you. You got to get around different, because it's just like with your brand. You were saying earlier, oh, I got this brand. I know it's about to rock. Nah, because you
Yeah.
think, oh yeah, oh, my bro's gonna buy.
Yeah.
Dang, anybody, you don't like it? You don't want to
Yeah.
support it. But then you'll get on Instagram or LinkedIn or whatever, and they're like, oh yeah, I love it. You be like, oh dang. And you realize strangers get you further than sometimes your family and friends,
Right.
just off of the mindset. And you have to get around those different people. So when you got to, you got the podcast, you got your brand going, is it something where is it something you have local, or is it all online? So like, when you started, did you start at local, with a couple people you knew, or did you go straight online and like, all right, this is what I'm doing? How did you kind of start that for people that kind of, maybe where you're at and want to start coaching or start a podcast or whatever?
Yeah. I mean, it was basically all online. And like I said, most of the people that reached out were, people I didn't know, but there were some people that knew me that would reach out, and and it was funny because with the mindset, it was someone I used to work with reached out to me, and then I kind of like pivoted. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna do some mindset coaching, I would like to make it more about, like, because I'm from Long Island. I love Long Island. God willing, I'll probably spend the rest of my life here. So I do want to kind of build a community off Long. I have that pride, and be like, I'm from Long Island, man. Let's build up Long Island, because I know there's probably plenty of people that need support over here. So I would like to really go at that point, some point go build something up here. But I mean, right now, yeah, everything's kind of online, and just really building up and a community and building relationships with people that Eventually, you know, like I said, with the NGBN community, you know, we're talking about having conferences, you know, live conferences where we're all going to meet up in various states and just be like, you know, building that community where we say, hey, we're going to have a conference here, man. We're going to have thousands of men come there because they just feel a part of something. They need that support, and that's what we want to do. So, you know, eventually, you know, I would like to have, you know, build it up pretty much everywhere. You know, I always kind of joke around, but you know, in a serious way, I'm like, I'm building an empire for my boys, you know, and you know, that's kind of where I'm at right now, man. I just want to build it as big as I can, and you know, people, you know, come join this community. I call it GP Nation, man, and that's what it's all about right now.
I love it. I love what you said. You want to, you know, you want to hold it down for your home squad, and that's how a lot of people are when you get there. But sometimes it's harder to get that than it is to online, because it sounds like the online's building, but it's like you're trying to figure out, like, it's weird when you want to give back, you want to do these things, but it's kind of hard. And I definitely, like, because I grew up in Indianapolis as an adult, but I'm not
Mm-hmm.
from Indianapolis. So it's like I'm from here as an adult, but it's like I would rather go back to where I was a kid and do something. But it's like this is where I became the man I am. So it's like I want to give back, but it's hard because I don't, like, it's a weird city. Like, you got to be connected or cliques and all this. And
Yeah,
I rock with me. I have
yeah.
a few friends and I rock with me. So it's like I'm in the same way. I want to do something here. You know, I coach and I do different stuff, but it's like I would want to build that at home first and then take it somewhere. And like you were saying, like, underdog talking, just being an underdog, like, it's something I'm building an empire for my son.
Mm-hmm.
The clothing line, I named it after him. So his name is the LLC. So if you want to change it to something else, when he gets, you know, to that age where, here you go, son, you got everything you need. Because
Yeah.
it's not about me, it's about the generation after and after. Because
Yeah.
my biological dad died, like I said, when I was 4. He didn't leave me nothing but questions, and that's it. Like, who was he? How was he? Why am I like this? Whatever the case. And it used to be where I'd be like, man, if my dad was here, I'd be able, you know, I'd be able to leave. Or if my mom made me mad or something. It took me years to get over that. And
Yeah.
it's like, why? He didn't leave me nothing. Now, if I would something happen to me, my son would be straight because he has ownership and different stuff like that. And eventually, you know, this brand to be something. I want this to be a talk show. I want people to be able to click on and watch this on TV. I don't know if it'll be late night, midday, morning, whatever. But that's, you know, and I speak it and I say it, and I've been saying it because when you speak it to existence, it usually happens. Just don't know when. And the same thing with you. You're not joking about building an empire for your
Yeah.
kids.
Yeah.
You're serious because you
Yep.
understand what that would do for them, how
Mm-hmm.
that would help them. So I heard you earlier. You were talking about certain points with your coaching. You don't got to give all your sauce, but
Mm-hmm.
what are some things that you give people when they join? Like, what are a few takeaways that they get when they join your coaching?
Well, I mean, first of all, like I said, it's a partnership. So pretty much, you know, you with me, you have access to me 24/7. You know, whether it's text, email, you know, whatever you call. And really, like I said, you focus on mindset, nutrition, and fitness. And by fitness, I don't mean, hey, all right, here's your workouts, do this and that. I'm talking about just activity. You know, be active. You know, and for me, like it's all about, and I'm always careful how to word it. It's doing the least amount of work, but getting the best results possible. You know, because that's how you stay consistent, is by doing these little things every day. You know, I'm not saying you got to go balls to the wall and do CrossFit and be like, oh, every day go run 5 miles and like everyone posted on Instagram and no, you don't have to do all that shit. You know, and it starts with the mindset. And what first thing I do is tell them is, I want you to set daily visions every day. You know what, and it could be simple. You know, it's just, what kind of person do you want or do you need to be for that day? Focus on that day. And it can be like, I want to be patient. I want to be observant. I want to, you know, be productive, whatever it is. You know, I set 3 of them, and I set reminders on my phone to go off, whether it's every hour, every 2 hours or 3 hours, however, you know, I tell them however you want to do it, as long as it reminds you throughout the day. And that's how you train your mind. You know, you set these visions every day, and the reminders are there. So, sure enough throughout the day, okay, all right, be patient, do that. And man, that's how you train your mind. And that's how you start associating, different things for different situations. Like, for example, like driving in New York, man, you get frustrated real quick, so, and I know, and it's not like I have like bad road rage where I be cursing at people, but like, you're screaming inside your own car, and, like, and that's not good for you, for your mindset, for your mentality, for the day, for whatever it is, how you acting around other people, like after that. So like, I started being like, all right, man, just be patient, stay calm, and I would have these and every time I get in my car now, those pop into my head because I was just kept training my mind that way. And so now every time I get in my car, it's just like patient, right? It's like almost like I see it. Patience, stay calm. And man, I drive now and I'm like, all right, someone does something stupid, that's on him, not me. Whatever it is, especially if I'm running late, it's no one else's fault but my fault. So whatever happens, happens. So like for me, like a big thing with that is setting daily visions. That really helps your mindset. It really helps you training your mind, because just like your body, you got to train your mind every day. You got to stay consistent with it every day. And for me, that's a big game changer when it comes to mindset. But again, that's something that stays consistent. So when people work with me every day, man, what are your visions today? Set those reminders, and the next day, all right, what are your visions for today? Set those, and it's just, after a while, man, you wake up and you're like, all right, I want to be like this today. And it just, you subconsciously, you just start acting that way, so
Yeah.
that's a big thing for me, for the mindset, how I start my clients out.
I love that. One thing that really just caught me, he said, I can't be mad. I'm late. Like,
Yeah.
you're already late. You can't get mad. Oh man, why would you do that?
Yeah.
Well, if you would have got there a little earlier, you wouldn't have had to go through that. And
Yeah.
and like you said, patience. Being a kindergarten teacher, I have to have
Yeah. You
patience.
need a lot of patience for that shit. Yeah.
Listen, I was a special ed assistant, then I worked preschool, then kindergarten. I don't know. God put me in those situations, and it's like, oh, okay, I got to work on my patience, because there's no point to sit there and yell at kids all day. It's
Yeah.
like there's no point. So it's like you gotta have, like, patience is important, and like it's kind of like you said with the road rage. As you get older, it's like, okay, all right, whatever. I'm not, and it's not even just road rage. It's just anything in general. It's like, do I really need to react over that? Nah, I
Yeah.
don't really need. No,
Yep.
that's gonna mess up my day. And I like what you said. It even resonated with me, is putting reminders throughout the day, just those little bing, oh, I need to do this,
Yeah.
or all right, remember to do this. Because with me, it's like, okay, I have that list of what I'm supposed to do. The day it gets shifted because maybe I have a meeting I forgot about. I didn't put it in my phone, and I need to put it to where it's reminders, where it's like, oh dang, I got a meeting, I'm late, or oh, I thought I was able to do this, but I can't because I got to do this. And just having those reminders helps you, because like you said, like once you have it's the small things. It's like with us, with a podcast or with speaking or whatever, we're putting out a video. Say we're not where somebody is, they got 100,000, but we're putting out videos. We're putting out videos. We're putting out video. Eventually, people will see it. But if you
Yeah.
stop for a month and then you pop up with a video and it might be fire, you're like, oh, I know everybody.
Yes.
Oh, it's because you're not consistent. They
Right.
can't go back. They got to go back a whole month to look at your old stuff. No, if you're just consistent and keep putting stuff out, no matter what it is, it'll work. Because when you start a business, you don't make money overnight. Like, you got to go through all different kind of hoops and all kind of stuff to get you there. So it's like, when you start something, just do small stuff. The
Yep.
small stuff gets you to the big wins. It's like sports. I always take sports like basketball. If you don't work on your jump shot, how do you think you're going to be able to shoot? If you don't work on your dribbles every day, how do you think you're going to be able to dribble? You have to do something every day for whatever it is that you want to do. I don't care if you want to be a rapper, a teacher, a lawyer, anything. I always tell kids, what you want to be? Oh, you want to do? Are you doing that every day? Oh, no, I don't. Don't say you want to do it every day.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's when the greats became great. It's like you said earlier, it's not what you see on social media. It's the stuff that happens behind the scenes is what really gets done. That's when the work is put in. Because you could look at somebody and say, oh man, they doing this. But they ain't tell you that they ain't slept for 3 days. They
Yeah.
bank account was in the negative. Whatever
Yeah.
the case may be, And when you realize that, you're like, oh, okay, I'm doing good. I'm all right. I'm not that bad. But if you look at somebody and compare, you're going to fail.
Yeah.
So you kind of gave 3 tips on the mindset and what you do, but I'm going to take it to what you're talking about earlier. I need 3 tips for people that are going through anxiety. Like, what can they do? Small things that they can do to help them or change what's going on. Because everybody somewhat deals with it, but there's somebody out there that's going to listen to this and they're dealing with it heavy like you were. So, what are
Right.
3 tips that they can do?
Well, I mean, first of all, I would say definitely go and get checked out and make sure that it is anxiety. Because, like I said, for a long time, I just said, hey, fuck it, I'm gonna die young. So I would say definitely first is go get checked out, and if it is anxiety, then talk to someone. Yeah, therapist definitely helps, and obviously some people in different situations. I don't know, with money wise and all that, and if that can't afford that, sometimes what helped me is once I did know it was anxiety, it was really basically what I talk about with the visions. It's training your mind, and when I was all of a sudden have a bad attack, it was, I would just start pacing in my apartment because I just wanted to move around, like move a muscle, change a thought. So like you definitely want to kind of move around a little bit. And I would just kind of put my hand over my heart like this and repeat to myself, you're all right. You're all right. It's just anxiety. You're all right. You're okay. Because I mean, you can't talk your way out of a heart attack. So like like when you start doing it and you kind of going up and down, like it would go away and then it would come back, then it would go away and then it would come back. I'm like, dude, that's not a heart attack. I would have been fucking dead 20 minutes ago. So it's constantly just kind of telling yourself that you're okay. You're okay. Or if you're repeating it to yourself, I'm okay. I'm okay. I'm okay. It's just anxiety, and move around, and check your health, man, or check your physical health. How are you? Are you out of shape? You gotta, be physically fit. The older you get, like we talk, it's gonna get harder. And I was 300 pounds, and it's not a coincidence that it was getting less and less and less as I was losing more weight and getting in better shape, and that's a big thing. You got to check your physical health. People can't just sit around and eat whatever the fuck they want or do whatever they want and expect to be, that's like 1,000,000% of the population, whatever it is. Like there's certain people that can get away with it, but most people can't. And so I would say, that's a big part of it. Physical fitness was a huge part of my story, a huge part of my comeback, a huge part of me coming out of those dark days. And, at 42, when my dad passed away, he was 42. And then when I turned 42, I ran a half marathon here on Long Island. And to me, that was like one of the biggest accomplishments of my life. My family was there and it was emotional. And, it's something that anxiety of me that I was going to die every day, it's something that whatever anxiety you're having, man, you got to fucking face it and kick the shit out of it. Thought I was just, because I was so out of shape, I was going to drop dead of a heart attack, and it was causing me all this anxiety, and it probably really started because I thought I was a failure in life. So it was like, man, whatever it is that's giving you that fucking anxiety, man, face it and kick the shit out of it. And just keep going. Because if it is anxiety, man, you're not going to drop dead of a heart attack. It's anxiety. Keep going. Talk yourself through it. And you're okay. You're okay. And just, like I said, man, face that shit head on.
I love it. I love it. Because like you said about like the losing weight, I'm skinny fat. I've been skinny my whole life. Like I eat more than most people, but I'm skinny. But you couldn't get me to get on the treadmill or run a mile. I'm out of shape. And it's like, you can be out of shape and be skinny.
Yeah.
Like, it don't matter your fit. Like when he's saying physical, like make sure you're moving, make sure you're doing stuff. Like it's hard to see people play basketball and I play and it's like, oh, nope, my knee. I'm not messing it up. I ain't getting paid for this, but it's like, I need to get back in the shape where I can be able to play. Like I'm a coach. The kids be like, come on, coach. All right, hold on a second.
Yeah.
No, I don't need to be. I'm only 36. Like I'm not old. So it's like get it, like make sure you're moving, make sure you're stretching. Stretching is very important. Trust
Yeah.
me. If you don't stretch, you definitely will mess yourself up. But I love everything that you said right there. And I always ask before we get out of here, for you tell people how. Well, I mean, I'm sure they can tell where to reach you, but where you can tell people to reach you, I need a quote. I don't know if it's your quote, a quote you heard, whatever, but I need a quote from you.
One of my favorite quotes from Winston Churchill: "If you're going through hell, keep going."
I love it.
Yeah,
I
that's my
love it.
favorite one.
Love it. I love that because sometimes you're in hell and you want to turn back, but you
Yeah,
still got to go through hell to get to where you need to.
yeah, and if you are in hell, why would you stay there? Just keep fucking going,
Yep.
until
It's
you
a,
until
it's a light
you
at the
until
end of
you
the
get out.
tunnel. Yep.
Yeah,
So, man, I appreciate you. I appreciate you reaching out. I appreciate what you do. Appreciate your group with the men. I appreciate just everything because you could have gave up. You could have actually been like, all right, whatever, skip it, whatever. I'm going to just let it go. But you turned it around, and just hearing you lose the weight and being able to do stuff for your son. Like as a dad, I understand. Like before kids, it's like, whatever, life's free, and then you
yeah,
have
yeah,
kids. I gotta get my shit together. So
yeah,
I applaud you for just turning everything around and doing what you're doing now, and being able to touch people all over. Like you're gonna be able to touch people all over. You're gonna be able to touch people in Long Island. You're gonna do what you said you're gonna do because you have the mindset to. So I always like to give people flowers, even though this is our first time talking. I want to give you your flowers for what you do, and just let people know how they can reach you and how they can find you on social media.
yeah, man. Well, first, thank you for having me on. This was awesome, man, and it was great talking to you. And yeah, so as you can see, my website, goprimalusa.com. That's where you can find pretty much the apparel, the podcast, and the mindset coaching if you're interested in it. The Primal Mindset is also on YouTube and ngbn.tv. My podcast is on there. There's a bunch of other great content creators on there. It's all about men's mental health. So if people are having, some issues, man, you can reach out to any one of us on that website. And like I said, we're having a live men's virtual conference, I believe January 7th. Details will kind of come out more about that, but people can sign up and it'll be like a 5-hour like seminar basically. And yeah, so that's pretty much it.
I love it. I love it. I mean, you guys. Well, everybody's not watching, but those that are listening, he said where to reach them. Again, I appreciate you. And before we get out of here, you got any closing words?
Man, trust your instincts and just keep going.
On that note, peace. One love.